There's quite a few reasons why. I was kind of inspired mostly because my sister, who is in elementary school, she's someone I want to have a better school education than what I did since I went through quite a bit. Another reason I was inspired to run for the board was during the consolidation effort, trying to get the high schools in. It really opened up my eyes to how the process works, and I kind of wanted to have another voice in there. And also with my experience from the petition to keep the SROs was something I was always interested in, and I decided just to take a chance. I've learned a lot while running. The biggest issue I decided to run on was the drug issue. I've noticed there was an increase of drugs. I did, of course, my own self-reporting on that too. We're hoping of getting some more data if I'm on the board, hoping to get more resources towards that as well. But I'd say the biggest influence probably was the consolidation effort before that. I'm naturally wary against any kind of school closures. I'm against school closures unless we're absolutely forced to. This is one of the reasons why when I originally started running, I wanted more of the referendum, because we do need the public support on this too. I think this is mostly something which the school board has to have public support while doing anything. And no matter what, these decisions are going to impact us all. It's not something that's going to be popular at all. I don't think we're going to have a solution that's going to fit everyone's happiness at all here. But I'm very happy to hear that there is a referendum at least put out there that, again, the community needs to vote yes or no on this too, because the school board needs to regain the trust of the community with this. The unfortunate reality is demographics are starting to decline, and that's something which we're going to have to deal with either way. One thing I did notice too is since the pandemic, we have actually more students moving out of the school district that are inside the school district grounds, i.e. moving over to Holman area, moving over to West Salem, moving over to private schools. They had their list full of, their waiting list is full this year. That to me says there's also an internal problem that, again, I've always had kind of a mistrust towards the school board too, where I see that as mostly parents don't really like the way our schools are going their directions. And there are many reasons why this could have happened too. One reason is that we are kind of moving away from, our education I'd say it could be better. We're moving down to standardized grading, and that's not something something of which I don't think is a good idea. It's more subjective compared to an objective grade. So instead of having an A, B, C, or D, it's just you put so much of a hassle on teachers to grade assignments as well, where it creates harder education. We're seeing that parents are deliberately choosing to move away from the lacrosse schools, and that's something which a school board needs to, again, to regain that trust. It's always about that trust. If we can show parents they can trust us with their children to raise them into model adults, they're going to choose our school. I'd say a message for any parents too is speak up. We want to hear your opinion too. The school board is accountable to the people, to the parents, especially the parents. This is something which you have a big stake on when it comes to where you want your children to be and be educated at too. Yes, there's going to be uncomfortable conversations. That's something which is going to be natural. This might be a solution that might be a loss for all of us here, because we all want to keep our schools, but we want to hear from the people. We want to know that if there is an unpopular solution, at least we can choose the one that best fits everyone else, something which that we can agree with. So that's where the referendum comes back in and getting the support from the public as well. So I encourage actually people to criticize the board, because we want, as a board member, I want to know what are people actually thinking, and I want to be accountable to the public as well. So it's always a hard solution, but it's being able to communicate clearly with the public is something which I think is a need for the board. I'm always a learner, but I'd say the best thing I could give is a unique perspective. I've lived in the school districts for the past 4 years as a student, and I've seen kind of the direction from the inside. An 18-year-old has a lot to learn. I'm not afraid to admit I've still got a lot to learn too as well about this as well. I used to think it was my biggest disadvantage, because it's having a lack of experience. It's just not that experience level that many people would expect. But again, I think that gives me also my greatest advantage as well, is just being able to have that new perspective and being able to say I've been and lived through the policies of the board and know, like from inside as a student, what happens, at least on the high school level as well. Like again, I'm always learning, always trying to learn new things. It's part of like a habit of mine. I try learning a new thing every day. And I think that's kind of like an attitude that should be on the board, especially since we're talking about education as well. It's great for education.